rapper, the man hour. You already know. It's live. It's raw. It's going down. Like this. I'm going around and letting everybody know that they welcome to the show. It's the latest thing you ever seen, you already know. Let me introduce you to your host of the hour. It be Mike and Mike. Yeah, it's the man hour. Got the hottest plays, all the breaking news. Every rumor, every trade, every breaking bruise. Tighten knuckle screws. Yeah, it's going down. Have you saying what the fuck and never watered down. It's going down. I'll be rolling up. And if you buy it or you sell it, then you made the cut. Watch me flip it back. I can double up. I got sriracha for that ass, I'ma burn it up. Gotta check the rules, but know that it be fair and foul. Rep blow the whistle, coach throw the towel. We can do this on the field or outside the lines. It's the man hour though, now we going live.
What is going on, Man Hour Nation? It is your boy Brandon Combs here on the Man Hour After Dark. I know we always got the intro song and all the clips all say Mike and Mike. Ain't no Mike and Mike. This is Brandon Combs coming to you live with the Man Hour with my boy Michael Buckheister. Michael Buckheister, what's going on, buddy?
What's going on, big guy? I like how you kind of took the reins there and led the ship up there a little bit, but make sure you guys are heading over to mikeandmikemanhour.com. Get yourself a nice little beanie. It is beanie season. Or do you guys,
especially when you're stuck in your garage?
Right. Actually, it's like 80 degrees here, but I couldn't find my dad hat, so it is what it is. But hey, do you guys call these beanies or something else?
I've always called them a beanie. Some people call them stockings. Like up in New England, they call those ones stockings, the ones with the ball. Yeah. And the ones that don't fold over, they just they're cut short. Those are what they call beanies up there. So
I went to a guy.
Weird stuff up in New England.
So. I went to college with a guy from the Chicago area. I think it was Juliet is where he was from. He would call these things toboggans. I was like, what?
Toboggan? What the hell?
What the hell is a toboggan?
Yeah,
weirdo.
I don't know about people outside of Chicago here in Illinois. They got some weird shit going on.
Right.
So.
It is
all right, so we've got a great show lined up for everybody. We are going to be talking a lot of football again today. A lot of stuff went on this weekend. As a matter of fact, one big thing went on, and Buck, you posted a thing on Facebook today, a picture of Tom Brady about to jump off of a big old cliff, and boy, did that get some debates going on Facebook. So let's start there.
Let's do it.
Is Tom Brady, after that loss last night, is he about to fall off a cliff?
So I believe this is the second time this season Tom Brady has thrown 3 interceptions, or a multiple interception game, if I am not mistaken. He has not done this since 2002. I believe at that time it was his second year in the league. Brandon, correct me if I'm wrong. I think he was drafted in 2001, right?
Yeah, he was drafted in 2001.
Yeah, so his second year in the league was the last time that he done this. So he is reverting back to his sophomore slump. So, I mean, if you want to go that route, he literally has this is his last year because of the factors of father time and then the progression and just the process of the math, like the math arithmetic there. When you revert back to your sophomore season, throwing multiple interceptions, like he was basically getting ready to cry on the sideline. Let's be flat out honest. Like he needed a hug, and he needed Gazelle's big old titties right in his hands, and he didn't get either of those, and he was pouting. So yes, Tom Brady. What's the old Linkin Park song? 1 foot like over the edge or so. I can't remember, but I blew that one. But
look, I don't know where you're coming at with all this crap and all this garbage that you like to spew and all this stuff that you guys, you and LeBlanc both, man. You guys come at with this Brady stuff and then with this Brady hate. I don't know what it is about the guy. Maybe he kicked your puppy, or maybe he slept with your sister, or something. Something happened where you and LeBlanc look. Tom Brady right now is second in completions in the league.
He also is throwing like 80 times a game. So, I mean, you can throw. Go ahead. I'm sorry. My bad.
he's second in attempts.
Behind who?
He is behind Matt Ryan.
Yeah.
He is sixth in yards. He is, where's he at here in average? Let's see where he's at in average now. He's down there in average, and he's down there in completion percentage. And yards a game, he is, let's see, he is sixth. So he's not really falling off of a cliff. Is he aging? Absolutely. I mean, he's fourth in touchdowns. He is, let's see here, interceptions. He is, geez, he's way down the list in there. He hasn't thrown very many interceptions this year for a guy who started off pretty bad.
Yeah, I mean, he like I think he has 3 games with the interception, but those 3 games were multiple interception games. Very un-Tom Brady like.
You're correct. He's definitely getting older, but he's not falling off of it. And it surprises me that he's not falling off a cliff. I thought, a lot of times after age, I don't know, 40, 41, 42, I mean, you start falling off of a cliff. You just do. I mean, I'm not even 40 yet. Of course, I'm not a professional athlete, but I'm not even 40 yet, and it hurts every damn time I try to get out of bed. And this guy is almost 45, and he is still doing what he's doing.
So here is the problem that I am going to say moving forward. I believe the Tampa Bay Buccaneers ran the ball a total of 10 times last night.
Yep.
Tom Brady's...
They were also down big.
Okay, so you were down big, so why do you consistently want to throw the ball down the field? Just start running the ball and get out of there with your dignity somewhat intact. Now, with that being said, I guarantee you Tom Brady's body right now is aching. He has never thrown the ball that many times in a game, let alone this many attempts in a season. I'm trying to pull up his total attempts for the season here. Where's it at? I don't have it in front of me, but I do remember seeing a stat. I believe it was on Fox Sports. Was so far this season, Tom Brady has thrown more passes than he did the last 2 seasons.
Well, he's also got a better offense than he's had the last 2 seasons. He's got
Clearly
more
not.
weapons than he's had the last 2 seasons. They had a bad game. I mean, they've had 2 bad games this season. They just both happen to be against New Orleans.
Also, who had they played though?
Oh, come on.
No, mean you want to go that route? They played 2 bad games, but who had they played? They played the Panthers. Okay, the Panthers are better than what we thought, but then week 2 they just lost Christian McCaffrey. This was a struggling football team. They were a sinking ship. They ultimately started to right the ship a little bit. Then they played the Broncos, a horrible Broncos team. At that time, I think they were down 13 starters. Like at that point in time. Then they played the Chargers, a very underrated Chargers team, but they still played the Chargers, and they almost lost that game. And then then yes, they beat the Bears as well. Or sorry, they lost to the Bears, which at the time the Bears were 5-1, but no, that would have put them at 5-0, right?
Yeah, that put them at 5-0.
Beat them both. So you can say what you want about that game, but the Bears are what, 500 now, or sorry, 5-4.
Game
my
above.
bad.
Yeah.
My bad. And then they played the Packers. Yes, this was a fluke game. They beat the Packers. Yes. And then the Raiders, Giants, and then they lost to the Saints. So they beaten one good team this year.
Did you hear what you just said? They beat the Panthers, who were better than everybody thought that they were.
But
then they beat the Broncos, who are down. But they beat an underrated Chargers team, a very underrated Chargers team, with a very good rookie quarterback. And then you want to say that the Packers are the Raiders are pretty damn good too right now.
You can say what you want, but you have to revert back to when they played these games, not now. Week 2, the Carolina Panthers were a shit show. They just lost Christian McCaffrey for an undetermined amount of time.
Okay.
And then now he's back on the IR with the shoulder injury.
Who's in front of you? So they won the games they were supposed to win, and then they beat some other pretty good teams. They beat the Packers.
Did they? They were supposed to wallop the Saints.
They beat the Packers. They dominated the Packers. Then they went to Oakland and beat Oakland in Oakland, or Vegas. I'm sorry, they went to Vegas and beat the Raiders in Vegas.
Right. Which
then they went
that was probably
to the
their most
Giants.
complete game.
I would argue that the Packers was probably their most complete game, but
Oh,
sure.
True. Okay.
I mean, I get where everybody's coming back, and I get the hatred for Tom Brady. Trust me, if anybody gets it, it's a Bears fan who spent the last 15 years in New England. Trust me, I understand the hatred for Tom Brady and the New England Patriots. But at some point, you have to be realistic too, Buck. And reality tells you that Tom Brady is not only is he arguably, you can say arguably, the
I'll
greatest
give
of
you that
all
one.
time, but he is also not falling off a cliff right now. He's just not. Does he look bad sometimes? Does he look old against really good defenses? Sure, he does. He looked old against the Bears. He forgot it was 4th down at the end of the game. He's looked old in both of their losses to the Saints. But those are his only losses, Buck.
Okay, so you've looked old in 3 games and you played 8. So you are
9.
almost.
They're 6-3. They've played
Okay.
9 games.
So still,
A
in
third
the
of the
3
time,
games,
you've looked
a
like
third,
you're
yeah.
43.
Okay. So the third of the time you look old. All right. So moving on, the rest of the season they have what 8 games. They have 7 games left. You look old a third of the time. That's 3 more losses added to your record. And what did I tell you? They were going to go 10-6. 3 more losses puts them at 10-6. However, it is the way they're going to lose these games. Tom Brady is not falling off the cliff yet because he does have that talent around him. He has Mike Evans hanging on to the rope. He has Antonio Brown hanging on to the rope. But that rope is starting to burn the hands, and at some point they got to let go and get their own, right? And that's exactly what is going to happen after they lose to the Kansas City Chiefs. All that talent is going to let go of the rope and like, bye, Tom. Can we get Jameson back, please?
John, my partner on TSS says, "What happened to Mike and Mike Combs sandwich? You left me for this. Back to watching the 2 worst teams on Monday Night Football." He said, and this is absolute garbage talk. Terrible game plan, terrible play calling, and terrible play by every player.
Okay, so hang on. Let me address that. Tom Brady is arguably the GOAT, right? If you know this was such bad play calling, why don't you check it at the line, Mr. GOAT? You've been playing in this league for 20 years. You know you have the green light to check out of a play, but no. Let me throw the ball 60 times and get intercepted 3 times because I'm the best.
And
Come on.
And then you hit him up with Jay. Come to the YouTube page, and he says, "I'm Hoffy. I'll let Jay know."
Well, you might as well be called Jay because I saw the show last night. Sheesh, those guys.
Oh man, that guy's gonna have a field day. So you really think so? So moving forward, all right. Let's take a look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Moving forward, they've got the Panthers this week. You think they win or lose?
So this game has me intrigued because Christian McCaffrey is back for his 2nd game, but he is nursing a shoulder injury now, so he is a day, and it's at Carolina, and I believe that hurricane's coming through right now, or during that time of the game, like the 30th hurricane this season. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But if it is a rainy, windy like it was in Tampa this week going on to next week, I got to give Carolina the edge. They have learned how to play without Christian McCaffrey, and then you add arguably the best running back into that mix again. I mean, the Panthers gave the Kansas City Chiefs a fit last week. Yes, the Chiefs played down to their opponents this season. They don't have that killer that instinct.
Yeah.
Yada. But at the same time, I got to give it to the Panthers.
I would argue that the Saints game this past weekend was a game that the Saints needed more than the Bucs did. Okay? Not only were you trailing and you didn't want to go down 2 games in the division, okay, but you needed this game because people are starting to talk that you're not the same New Orleans Saints. You get Michael Thomas back, you're back to your old self.
You are saying that. Nobody else is.
Oh, lots of people are saying it.
No.
Lots of people are saying
a lot of people that aren't right.
Except for Benzie, who's in his, Drew Brees thongs right now watching this. So I think that they're going to go to Carolina. They're gonna beat the Panthers as they should. Then they get the Rams at home. I think they beat the Rams. I still think the Rams are smoke and mirrors out
Yeah,
there in the
I
NFC
don't know
West.
who the Rams are because yes, they
The Rams
swept through
don't know who
the.
they are.
I mean, yes, they swept through the NFC East, but then they they're so up and down. But this is a Monday night game, so I mean the Rams got to be up for this game.
Yeah.
I would circle that game as like a
Well,
trap game.
I circle it because I think it is a trap game for them because the following week they have the Chiefs.
Right.
But then after that, so say that they beat the Panthers and say they lose 2 in a row. Say they lose to the Rams and they lose to the Chiefs, okay? So then you're sitting at what? You're sitting at 7-5 at that point.
Right.
Then you close off your season versus the Vikings, Falcons, Lions, Falcons. I see them going 4-0 in that stretch.
So the problem with that last part of the schedule, it is always hard to play a team back-to-back weeks. And now I say back-to-back weeks. Yes, I know they had the Lions sandwiched in there, but they are playing the Falcons, then the Lions, and the Falcons again. So
Yeah.
technically they're playing a division opponent back-to-back. They are not going to put anything special in for the Detroit Lions the following week because the Lions are probably going to be out of it. Like, let's be honest, that they're probably going to be out of it, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are worried about playing a division opponent next week. They're going to lose to the Lions, especially at Detroit.
Oh man, I don't look. If that happens, then they finish this season probably at 9-7.
Which is a wild
And-
card bid still.
Yeah, but it's not what Tampa Bay was supposed to be. It's not what Tampa Bay is looking to do. I don't feel like they're as bad as everybody wants to make them out to be, or that everybody wants to say, oh, he's, Tom's getting old. He's falling off a cliff. He's getting ready to cliff dive. Until Tom Brady proves that he can't do it no more, I'm gonna believe that Tom Brady can do it.
He
He's
proved it
earned that
last
from
night.
me.
How many throws did he miss last night?
To be honest with you, I missed most of the game. Once the halftime hit and the Saints were up big, I started playing Fortnite with my kids.
Right. So, I mean, like I watched it till about the third quarter because then I went to bed because I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning to go to work. But I would say there was at least 12 or 13 bad throws, overthrowing behind him, etc. And Scorpio says Brady is in a resurgent. How is he in a resurgent? I mean, he has kind of been the same. I mean, like if you really want to go back through the stats, I don't care about the yards and the number of completions and stuff like that. I'm looking at the completion percentage.
I think
65%, 65%. I mean, he is always around 65%. So how is he in a resurgent?
Last night, one, not only did the Saints need to absolutely get that win more than the Bucks did. The Saints absolutely needed that game more than the Bucks did.
Okay.
And for two, they also were trying to figure out where Antonio Brown fit into the equation. And to be honest with you, I thought it was a bad signing from the start. I just did. They didn't need him. They still don't need him. And putting him in there in that locker room, to me, was just too much of a risk to take. But I understand why they did it. Chris Godwin's always getting hurt. They're trying to find somebody to fill his shoes when he goes down, because it's almost inevitable that he always goes down. But unquestionably, Tom Brady right now has more weapons than he's ever had in his entire career, correct?
I would concur with that, yes.
There has never been a time, last year in New England being the exception, and they still went 12-4 last year in New England,
right,
and they had nothing. They have the same team now that they had last year, except for they have a different quarterback.
Well, so their defense is 100% different. Like their defense is by 8 or 9 guys.
Their offense is struggling. They can't. Right. They're losing right now, 13-7 to the Jets.
But that's because of their defense is giving up points. Last year, their defense was lights out.
They've only got 7 points.
But how many games did we see last year that the Patriots were pitching shutouts going into the third quarter?
For Cam. They have no running back. They have no wide receivers. They've got no tight end. They've got nothing in New England. They've got nothing. And they had nothing last year, too, and that's why Tom left. I'm telling you right now, Tom Brady has more weapons than he's ever had, and he's never shown you any signs of being anything less than a capable starting quarterback, than a GOAT, than the guy who can lead a team to a 12-4 team, and the same offense comes out the following season with a former NFL MVP at the helm, and they're nothing.
But this former NFL MVP had no offseason, coming off basically a career-ending shoulder operation, along with the ankle and back and knee and everything else. And then he got COVID, I should say, few by week was it week 3 or week 4? So I mean, like, we sat here on the Man Hour and said, was it after week 3 or week 4 that the Patriots looked like a Super Bowl caliber team? It looked like Bill Belichick done it again, and then reality hit in New England. COVID took out Cam, took out some defensive players, and they just haven't found that connection again yet, right? So, I mean, I would say, I know I am going to say, if Cam wouldn't have got COVID, we would still be talking about the Patriots going to the Super Bowl. I mean, let's be flat out honest. Momentum is everything, and like when you have to sit out 2 games.
The product of why the Patriots were so good in the first 2 weeks was everything that you just said. Nobody had game film on them. They came out and they surprised a couple of teams.
But they know who Cam is, though.
On them, they just got stuffed. They're not that good, Buck. They weren't that good to begin with. I'm not saying they are that good. Teams.
Now, I was buying into that hype a little bit because the way they played the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm like, whoa, wait, okay, pump the brakes. But then they lost like 4 or 5 games in a row. Granted, look at their schedule that they played. I mean, they played the Dolphins. Yes, they beat them, but looking back now, that's a pretty big win because the Dolphins, they're a pretty good team. They went toe to toe with the Seattle Seahawks. Probably should have beat the Seahawks if Cam would have reached just a little bit further to score that touchdown. Then they beat the Raiders, and then they lost to the Chiefs, and then they lost to a good Buffalo Bills team. I mean, their schedule has not been too friendly.
Buck, you're not going to get me to say until Tom Brady proves throughout a full season, not just one game, throughout a full season that he can't do it no more, I'm not betting against him. I'm just not.
So when he throws 2 interceptions versus the Panthers, throws 0 against the Rams, and then throws 3 against the Chiefs, so then he would have 8 interceptions in 4 games. Would you say, well, wait a minute, or are you going to say
something's up?
Or are you going to say, oh, this is just Bruce and offense?
There's 2 things that for me, we talk about this when I talk about Jameis Winston. For me, not every interception is on the quarterback. For one, okay.
You're right.
100%. So there are a lot of times where you throw a ball, deflects at the line, deflects off the receiver, whatever the case is, and they get a pick off of it. So if you're telling me he's got 8 interceptions and 4 of them are on him and 4 of them are on the something else, something freaky happened, then it is what it is. But if you tell me all 8 of them are just bad throws, completely misreads, all that other stuff, then I'll listen to, hey, maybe something's going on here.
Well, we saw it last night. There were countless misreads that he had. We saw it the first couple weeks, countless misreads. Then we see, oh, it's only 4th down, or no, it's 6th down, Tom, right? Like, I mean, you can see, like, yes, the preparation is still there. The quote talent is still there, but he is missing that greatest coach of like all time in his ear, and it is showing. That's why the cliff is closing ever so closer each and every game.
Says some guy chimes in and says Buck is right as often as Brady is bad.
So never. All year.
All right, so we are going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we are going to talk about the I shouldn't say resurgence, the emergence of Tua Tagovailoa. I guess that's how you say his name, and also a couple other guys that are in that same draft class. Who's the best out of that draft class? Is it Tua? Is it Burrows? Is it Justin Herbert? Find out when we come back on the Man Hour After Dark. All right, guys, we are back on the Man Hour After Dark, and we are going to get into some interesting conversation. Now, Mike, I don't know if you saw the other day, or yesterday, I should say, the game with the Arizona Cardinals and the Miami Dolphins. Did you see that game at all?
So I have not had a chance to watch the game fully yet. I had the two TV thing happen. I was watching the Cowboys play because I had major bets going on for that game, and then I had the Red Zone channel on the other TV. Right. We were betting hair in a Raiders jersey or like over here. So I did see the Red Zone version of the game, and honestly, I thought Tua looked like the rookie of the year on the plays that I saw.
Yeah.
I mean,
so he went into Arizona, man, and he out Kyler Murray'd Kyler Murray.
right.
Like he went in. Kyler Murray in the third quarter led a drive and then ended up walking into the end zone for a touchdown, and that gave them the 31-24 lead. And when I saw that, I said, "Oh, there's the game right there. Arizona's about to take over now."
Right.
And Tua comes in, and Tua marches the Dolphins right back down the field, makes a run of his own where he jukes out two defenders where he's about to be sacked, and then runs for about 15 to 20 yards. And then the next play, it throws a dart into the end zone to his tight end. and it's a tie game, and then they ultimately win by field goal.
Right.
Look, man, Tua, I have to see more of him. I do have to see more of him. But what I saw from him yesterday was really, really good. He's got to do it more. Like I've seen Justin Herbert do it and Joe Burrows do it so far. I've seen them do it on a wider scale. I'm more impressed with Justin Herbert and what he's done, and not only what he's done, but who he's done it against.
Right.
For me, I mean, Justin Herbert's gone out. He's dueled with Tom Brady. He's dueled with Drew Brees. He's dueled with Patrick Mahomes. He's dueling with some of the greats of the game, and he's doing it really, really well. And he's going blow for blow with them, and he's staying on course. I really like Justin Herbert and what he's doing over there in Los Angeles. And the Chargers, they've got good things going on, but not only the Chargers got good things going on, but you add Joe Burrow into the mix, and I'm telling you right now, the quarterback situation with, Drew Brees getting older and Tom Brady getting older and Phillip Rivers getting older, the quarterback play for the next 10 to 15 years in the National Football League looks like it's going to stay on course. Looks like it's going to be just as good as it has been over the last 20 years or so.
Yeah, so let me touch on your Herbert thing like a tad bit here. Yes, look at the teams he has played, but what I'm more impressed is by his first NFL start. He literally found out like 10 minutes before kickoff that he was going to start that game because
Well,
of
his uncle punctured a lung.
But still, I mean, I don't care who you are walking into a NFL game. Not me, like you prepare yourself different for a game when you're starting, and then if you're a backup. Let's be flat out honest. I mean, like you do your warm-ups just a tad bit different. You have different music on in your headphones, etc. And then that very first game that he stepped on the field, he went 22 for 33, threw for 311 yards, one touchdown, and one interception. Versus at the time, the Kansas City defense was still pretty good. They were still riding the high off of the Super Bowl win. Granted, like the next week they went crashing back down to reality. But the player that I've been really most impressed with so far has got to be Joe freaking Burrow, because
Really?
he has had multiple games over 350 yards passing with multiple touchdowns. And if you would look at the Cincinnati schedule here, yes, they are 2-5-1, but they lost to the Chargers because of an offensive pass interference call in the end zone, which Joe Burrow threw that game-winning touchdown. They lost to the Browns, because of another pass interference call in the end zone, and then they tie the Eagles, which I don't know how you tie the Eagles. Like looking back at that, like how do you tie? And then they beat the Jaguars, and then their last 4 games they played the Ravens, Colts, Browns, and Titans, which they beat the Titans. So
look what Justin Herbert did. Justin Herbert lost that game to the Chiefs. Then he went and battled with Teddy Bridgewater and lost the game to the Carolina Panthers. Then he battled Tom Brady blow for blow and lost by 7 points to the Buccaneers.
that was
Then he
probably
battled
his best
Drew
game.
Brees and lost by 3 points to the Saints and scored 27 points in that one. Then they went and beat the Jaguars. And then they lost to the Broncos 31-30. And then they lost to the Raiders 31-26. He hasn't lost a game yet by more than one score.
So the problem with that is he has only won 1 game, and that was by 1 score versus the lonely Jacksonville Jaguars.
His defense has given up in those losses. They gave up 23 to the Chiefs, 21 to the Panthers, not very much. But then they gave up 38 to the Bucks. They gave up 30 to the Saints. They gave up 29 to the Jaguars in a win. They gave up 31 to the Broncos in a loss and 31 to the Raiders in a loss. What do you want them to do?
I mean, like at the end of the day, do you want to support a winner or do you want to support a loser? And right now, Joe Burrow has more wins.
Joe Burrow's also playing on a slightly more talented team.
But he's also playing in a much tougher division too.
But I just read you off the losses that the Chiefs, the Buccaneers, the Saints, and the Raiders.
Yeah, but who do they have coming?
4 really tough losses out of the 6.
So you are talking about defensive. I mean, like the Kansas City Chiefs defense was terrible. The Jaguars are terrible. Broncos are terrible. Raiders were terrible.
All right. So who did Justin Herbert come in for?
Tyrod Taylor.
Tyrod Taylor. You
Yeah.
know what Tyrod Taylor did with the Chargers?
He beat the Bengals.
He beat Joe Burrows and the Bengals.
Right.
So Joe Burrows lost to Justin Herbert's backup.
Technically, he lost to Justin Herbert's starter.
He
if you want to get
Justin Burrows' backup.
okay.
I mean,
he still lost. So are you telling me if Justin Herbert started that game, the Chargers would have won?
the Chargers did win that game.
Oh, I'm sorry. So are you telling me that the Chargers still would have won if Justin Herbert was in that game?
If Justin Herbert starts that game, I bet you they win by more.
I bet you they lose because Justin Herbert shits the bed.
No, I bet you they win by more.
No. So
Absolutely.
let's look at these schedules moving forward. Cincinnati has the Steelers, Washington, Giants, Dolphins, Cowboys, Steelers, Texans, Ravens. I could see them getting 1, 2, 3, 4 more wins to finish out the season 6-9-1. The Chargers, they might beat the Jets. So they might beat the Broncos. So they maybe got 1 or 2 wins in them.
Yeah, they'll beat the Patriots. They're better than the Patriots. I would take them over the Falcons. And to be honest with you, the game against the Raiders and the game against the Chiefs, you can't really count them out. They played both of those teams close.
And it's also a division game. You definitely can't count them out by any means.
Justin Herbert gives this team a chance to win. They're 6-6 right now. I'm looking at their remaining schedule. Dolphins, they've got a chance against the Dolphins. The Jets, they're going to beat the Jets. So 1, 2, 3, they'll beat the Patriots. They'll beat the Falcons. 4, they'll beat the Broncos. They could win 5 more games here. They could be a 7-9 team.
So
they could go 5-3 to end the season.
So I guess the question is, what are we measuring in success? Like, are we measuring individual accolades, or are we measuring are we measuring team success? Because if it's team success,
you take in what they're doing and what their numbers say, plus the eye test. If you're starting a team right now, me and you are heading in the draft. You've got the number 1 pick. I've got the number 2 pick. Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow, and Tua Tagovailoa are on the board. Who are you taking with the number 1 pick?
I think I lost you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I can hear you. Hello. Bueller. All right, guys. So it looks like we lost Buck for a little bit, but let's go with this. If you look at Justin Herbert and what Justin Herbert has done with less weapons around him than Joe Burrows, and what he's done with less weapons around him than even Tua. I mean, Tua's got more weapons right now, arguably, than what Justin Herbert's got. So Tua and Burrows are doing the same, pretty much the same right now with less weapons. So I don't know. And for me, there he is. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you loud and clear, man.
I heard you the whole time.
So honestly, pre-show I spilt milk on my desk, like my glass of milk that I always drink, and I don't know. I'm hoping my computer's not fried.
Well, hey, just ask it if it's got milk.
It does, right
It's
behind the letter J.
definitely But anyway, so what I was saying before you lost me there was you and me are GMs. We're going into the draft and we have to take a quarterback. Tua, Joe Burrows, and Justin Herbert are on the board. Who are you taking to lead your team?
I would take Joe Burrow because he has been there and won me a national championship. The other two have had very successful college careers, but the simple fact is that they haven't won the big game. And my ultimate goal is to make it to the Super Bowl, which is the big game. So Joe Burrow's been there, done that, and Odell Beckham Jr. paid him a lot of money after that win. So give me Joe Burrow.
I'm taking Justin Herbert. From what I've seen from him so far through 8 games, I'm taking Justin Herbert from this point on. I think he's going to have the better career out of all 3. One, because he's not stuck in an organization in Miami that's just, quite frankly, never going to do anything to win more than what they're capable of winning. They're always going to be that 8-8 or 9-7 team. They're never going to be a Super Bowl contender. That's what the Miami Dolphins are. And so not only are they not a Super Bowl contender ever, but the Cincinnati Bengals are another organization that I can't depend on to build correctly around Joe Burrows. I think Justin Herbert is in the best position, and I also think that he's got the most talent of the 3. So I'm taking Justin Herbert.
So we are 100% looking over the one person that I think is going to have the most success in the NFL out of all the rookie quarterbacks from this season, and that is the Indianapolis Colts quarterback Jacob Easton. He was drafted, I believe, 4th or 5th round, and you brought up some good points that teams do not build those 3 teams that we have these quarterback on don't build around their guy. The Indianapolis Colts shown that they built around Andrew Luck. They built around Peyton Manning. They're going to build around Jacob Easton, and I think he is going to have the best career out of all these guys. And he's sitting behind Philip that is going to teach him how to be a professional, and he has Jacoby Brissett there too. I mean, he is in the best situation and going to have the best career.
You want Philip? What's Philip Rivers going to teach him? How to not pull out?
Hey,
I mean,
so. I mean, if you want to go that route, how many 13-win seasons does Philip Rivers have? I think 5 or 6. I mean, he has a lot of regular season wins. Yes, he hasn't won in the post. He has 0, and I think he has 0 postseason wins too, if I'm not mistaken.
No, they went to a Super Bowl.
They never went to a Super Bowl. When?
Yeah, they did. They lost to the who did they lose to? They went to a Super Bowl. They went to a Super Bowl with LT, with Damian Tomlinson.
What wasn't Drew Brees the quarterback then though? Still.
I'm pretty sure it was Philip Rivers.
I don't know. Fact check that, but I don't remember I don't really remember Philip Rivers going to a Super Bowl. But what I'm trying to say is that he is behind professionals that have been in the. Jacoby Brissett was with the Indianapolis, and they know how to win. Jacoby Brissett knows how to win. Yes, the Colts fumbled off toward the end of the season last year, but they were 7-0 last season, and then they lost the last 9. But that's besides the point. But
Yeah.
nonetheless, Jacob Eason is going to be the best.
Rivers' overall postseason record with the Chargers is 4-4. He took the Chargers to a playoff total 5 times, and he took them to an AFC title game once, but he's never won a Super Bowl with them. Although the Chargers have never won a Super Bowl, they played in one. Oh, no, they only played in one. Chargers got blown out by the 49ers in Super Bowl 29.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, all of Philip Rivers' playoff losses will come to Tom Brady too.
Probably. I mean, either Tom Brady or Peyton Manning. I mean, he played in a really tough time for the AFC. But look, Philip Rivers, out of those guys, though, is definitely shown the most age. I don't want I'm not saying anything bad about Philip Rivers, and I'm not saying he can't bring a young kid in, and I'm not saying that he can't, tell a young quarterback, how to be a professional and all that. But I just don't know. I would like Justin Herbert over all of them. I don't even know who this Easton kid is. So
I thought he was from Oregon, wasn't he? Washington is like where he's from. So
Hoffy comes out, pull out. That's you, Combs. You're the best at teaching not to pull out.
Wow, shots fired.
That's kind of the
calling
strong...
the pedal cut battle.
He's got a strong argument. I can't. All right. So another thing that we were looking at getting into, and I don't know if you saw this, but it was some breaking news before we came on the show here. The NCAA, it looks like Bama and LSU is about to get canceled. Mississippi State and Auburn has already been postponed due to COVID. There's a positive COVID test in LSU. Buck, is the NCAA going to finish its season? Because I don't think they are.
I've said this many times, and the conferences are going to do whatever they can to finish the season. Because let's look at it. The conferences that have just now started their season, the Big Ten and the Pac-12, they are not in the top 25, and we're seeing these schools that people have never heard of. Coastal Carolina, I believe Marshall was in there. There were some other small schools that are in the top 25, and they're getting all of this notoriety. They're getting big-time deals right now. So will the major conferences finish? Probably not, because the Pac-12 and the Big Ten have been so hesitant about the whole COVID thing as is. But these smaller conferences, you are damn right, they are all in. They are making their money this year, being on ESPN, getting all those. I mean, like, granted, they're not fans in the stands, but they're getting all that TV money. This is a building block for these MAC schools.
I don't see any way the NCAA finishes the season. They told all the Notre Dame fans that they've all got to get tested now after that.
That was a school thing, though. That was a school thing.
Yeah, and they've even told the kids, if you test positive, you can't go home for winter break. You got to quarantine here on campus.
They can't make you do that. Whatever.
Yeah,
I'm going home to see my mama. Mama, I'm coming home.
I don't think that there's any way the NCAA finishes its season. There's too many games, and they're not even planning on making up these games. Like,
that was the fault of the so now if the NCAA shuts it down, that they are basically trying to get their cake and like eat it too, because at the beginning of the year they said it is up to you guys to decide if you want to play or not. Then they come back and say, whoa, you guys can't like play now. That is because of these smaller conferences are playing. They're making lots of money, and they're making these big conferences look like dog shit. Let's be flat out honest. They're making those conferences look bad. I mean, was it Minnesota that's canceled their season now, if I'm not mistaken? Or was it Wisconsin?
Did Minnesota?
It was one of those two schools. Now you have those senior players there saying, man, if I just would have went to Coastal Carolina, I could have been I could have been a top 15 and like playing in the and possibly playing in the national championship. If I would have went to Alabama, I would be playing football right now. This is hurting the Big Ten and the Pac-12 the absolute most. So if the NCAA wants to stay relevant whatsoever, they better keep out of it and let the conferences handle it, because they didn't say anything to start the season. It was all the conferences.
So Wisconsin's cases are down to 5, and they expect to play on Saturday. Texas A&M halted activities today as well. And
I thought I heard one Big Ten school cancel the rest of the season, but I could have been dreaming.
I'm looking for it now, but
I thought it was
don't see
Minnesota.
anything. I figured it would have been on like the top headlines, but I don't see anything here. But no, look, you're going to end up with, let's say you get to the BCS, okay? Say you make it through your season and you get to bowl season and you get to the BCS, and one of those 4 teams comes up with COVID.
The problem is the college football playoff is sanctioned by the NCAA, but it is not ran by the NCAA. So I think whoever is in charge of the college football playoff, they would make something happen. They would push it back a week, because, like, let's be honest, usually the NCAA season ends, Christmas, or like the week or two before Christmas time, and then bowl game starts Christmas Day, and then those playoff games start like second week of January.
Well, they've been starting bowl games in like freaking Thanksgiving now, though.
Oh, really? Okay, but
yeah,
like,
you get like the Car Care Bowl and the.
Well, but like either way, you have over a month and a half off almost before you're playing that first college playoff game. Yeah. So what is the big deal if they push back one week or 4 days?
I don't see a big deal with it. I don't see it. Do whatever you got to do. It's fine with me. I mean, you know me, but like I'm not scared of the whole COVID day.
Right.
If these kids want to go and play, let them go and play. COVID or no COVID, it is what it is.
So here is one of the biggest things about, so when a college team makes a bowl game, they become bowl eligible. The reason why it is such a big deal is because they can practice for it another month and a half. They are bringing these freshman kids in from high school that have graduated early onto campus. So as of January 1, they are practicing college football for the next 3 weeks. These teams that don't make college, the post-season play, they can't practice. Their season's over. So it is a advantage to everybody to get that 7-win mark or 8-win mark. No, it's a 7-win mark, and play
I thought it was 6
bowl game.
You gotta be 6-6.
Oh, it's a 6. So you become bowl eligible and get that bowl bid.
Well, you look at the Big Ten. The Big Ten just started its season. I mean, they still got a long way to go to get to 6 games.
Yeah, I think they're only playing 9 games this year, anyways. So I'm not for sure how that's going to work out.
And to me, that poses a bigger question. Should a Big Ten team with only playing 9 games even be eligible to play in the BCS?
So I personally, I would say no. Why should I reward you with postseason play when you started a month and a half after everybody else while still practicing and stuff like that? So the one of the biggest fundamental flaws that I've seen about this whole thing is their conference says we're not playing any games, but you guys can still practice. Practice is okay, but the games isn't. Like that made zero sense whatsoever. If you are going to postpone everything, shut down practices, shut down school, shut down everything. The University of Indiana, right up the road from me, they aren't having classes in the classroom, but they have their dorm rooms full. Why?
Yeah.
All about the Benjamins, baby. All those students playing $40,000 a year.
Why you look at college football games and you look at NFL, you look at MLB, you look at the NBA, you look at NHL. You got all these empty stadiums. There are these college football games, and how many people are coming in the doors? You know what I mean? Like
50%
I can't
capacity.
go anywhere in Chicago right now. Yeah. Everything's shut down. I can't even go sit inside a restaurant right now. But you're telling me I could go 2 hours down the road to South Bend, and I could sit in Notre Dame Stadium and watch a football game with
you want to know why? Indiana versus it is all about the states. It's all about the red and the blue at the end of the day. Let's be flat out honest.
Well, all right. So how about when the Bears are playing here in Chicago? So you're telling me that there's like a force field around the football field that doesn't allow COVID to come inside the football field.
It is like when they told us if the players have their football helmets off, they have to have masks on, but they have their football helmets on, they don't have to have a mask on because those two bars going across your face prevents COVID from getting in or out.
It's absolutely insane. Speaking of insane, JJ Watt really wants out of Houston, and I never thought that I'd hear that. But he wants out of Houston, and he had some harsh things to say. He said, "I'm done here. We're 2-6. I want out. I want a ring." If you're Houston, do you oblige?
So if you are Houston, you were reading between the lines last week when he said, I am here not to rebuild. At that point in time, this was before the trade deadline. I believe it was a Sunday before the trade deadline. They could have read between the lines and had an opportunity to move him then and probably get a first round pick out of him. Let's be
The Texans
flat out
don't
honest.
always do the smartest thing though.
But I'm saying they could have read between the lines and they could have moved him then. Now I don't see JJ Watt being a cancer in the locker room just because I think he is a more of a stand up guy than that. But if a player wants out and you are rebuilding, you have a new general manager, you have a new head coach, you are swapping out your whole receiver core. You have to move him. I mean, because he is what I believe we talked about this. He is ninth year into his career.
If they cut him, is he eligible to play in the playoffs for somebody if somebody picks him up? Well, somebody will pick him up.
I don't know how that works, but I'd assume you would being in the year 2020. Let's say you do get cut, you have to go through the waiver wire till that Tuesday, and then you become an unrestricted free agent, and then you get picked up at some point. And then there's a 10-day COVID quarantine thing. So in theory, I would think he would be able to, but if the Texans are in their right mind whatsoever, like I don't know what his contract is left on his contract, but you have to try to trade him and get value out of him. That there is, if the Texans cut JJ Watt just to appease him, they are doing their franchise, their city, that state a disservice by not getting anybody in return. You are basically saying, you know what? The next 6 years of our franchise, we're happy going 3-13. Actually, be 3-14 after this upcoming year.
So JJ Watt has two non-guaranteed years remaining on a 6-year, $100 million deal. He's due 15.5 this year and 17.5 next year.
I mean, I think JJ Watt warrants at least a second round pick, if not higher, right?
Yeah. No,
So
yeah.
So like if you are,
he should get Khalil Mack. I mean, what the Bears gave up for Khalil Mack is what JJ Watt's worth.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say that much just because of the injury history that he's had the last 3 or 4 seasons, and he is going to be in his 10th year, and historically, after the 10th year, most of those defensive linemen start to slow down a little bit.
Yeah.
But if the Houston Texans are truly in rebuild mode, like they kind of said they are in a roundabout way, they are shopping around all the receivers. They basically signed their franchise quarterback for the next 5 or 6 years. I can't remember how long his deal is, but you have to build now. You have to get draft picks now. Do not cut JJ Watt. I mean, they should have traded him in the trade deadline. Let's be flat out honest. But since they didn't, if they cut him, it is only to appease him at the end of the day. But they're not doing their team any good by that whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, look, JJ Watt is absolutely. I mean, he should want out. I mean, the Texans they're a dumpster fire. They really are. And not only should JJ Watt want out, Deshaun Watson should want out. If I'm Brandon Cooks, I'm asking out. Like, I would ask out if I'm anybody in that organization. That organization is horrendous. So Hoffy chimes in. Yes, Steelers cut Harrison, and he played for the Pats in the playoffs and the Super Bowl loss to the Eagles. So looks like we lost Buck again. But yeah, so that's right. I forgot about that. So Harrison did get cut by the Steelers and play for the Pats in that Super Bowl. So yeah, I mean, there he is. If I'm anybody in that organization, I'm asking for a release, a trade, something. And if I'm a free agent, I'm not going there.
So hopefully you can hear me. My computer's going ape shit right now thanks to the
gotcha.
milk. Hopefully, yes, I am asking for a release, much like what Hopkins did earlier in the off season, and they got like a 7th round pick out of him. But Houston, I wouldn't say they're a dumpster fire by any means. Like I've said before, they do have a top 5 wide receiver core in all of NFL. I mean the whole core from top to bottom, just not one piece here or there. And they do have arguably a top 5 a top 5 quarterback in all of NFL like as well. What is really troubling is that Bill O'Brien has built a culture there that everybody hates it. Right? It is. You are going to have to get a for sure head coach, not none of this interim tag bullshit. They need a veteran coach and like in there to rebuild the culture there.
Here's what I was thinking about that this week. Bill Cowher.
He reminds me too much of John what's his face, being out of the league for too long, that his old school ways won't mix with the new school talent there.
You're talking about Gruden?
Yeah, John Gruden. Like how it took him, like this is what his third year back, and he just now and like the players are just now starting to buy into what he
but they gave Gruden too much.
Right.
In Vegas, well, Oakland at the time, but they gave Gruden too much. They gave him too much, power as far as being a GM and a head coach. I think if you bring Cowher just to be a head coach, I don't think Cowher wants all that though. I don't even know if he wants to come back to be a head coach. But I mean, he's a guy that I would go get. What about luring Harbaugh out of Michigan?
I have heard rumblings of that. Harbaugh probably won't finish the season out in Ann Arbor because he is doing so bad. And if you flash back to his 49er days, they had a pretty good thing cooking there. He was a pretty good NFL head coach. Yeah. Now, does he have the system the players in place in Houston to do what he wants to do, what he did in San Francisco? I don't know. Because we saw it. It was a defensive-oriented team mixed with some all-star athletes on the offensive side.
Yeah.
It would take Harbaugh 2 full seasons to get his system implemented, and I don't know if Houston is patient enough for that.
But they're not good enough to win next year.
No,
they're gonna have to be patient.
But you get to the point of what have you done for me lately? And, if Harbaugh loses his first year, let's say they go 3-13, and then the next year they get 4 wins, like, hey, he, Mr. Previous head coach, he was getting us 10 wins, like every year. Why are you getting us 4?
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll see how it plays out. So,
who would be a good coach there? Kyle Shanahan, 49ers coach.
Kyle Shanahan? Yeah. Kyle Shanahan, I mean, there's a lot of guys who would fit in. Houston's got the weapons, like you say, on offense. They've got to get more talent on defense. They've got to get a better offensive line. They've got some work to do. So I think whoever goes in to be the coach has some work cut out for them. But
they need an offseason.
If you start building a culture there, is really where it needs to start, is building a culture.
Facts.
So. All right, so we are out of time here on the Man Hour After Dark. Make sure you guys follow us. Follow us on YouTube. Check us out on the Facebook page. Check us out on the Sports Trash Talk Facebook pages as well. We're always on there chiming in and posting stuff. So make sure you guys let us know what you guys want to talk about, what you guys want to hear about. And as always, we'll see you tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Central Time, 9 p.m. Eastern, right here on the Man Hour After Dark. Later, people.